England and top qualifier Zoi Sadowski-Synnott. So don't go anywhere because women's slopestyle finals starts now.
You are looking live at a shot of beautiful Vail, Colorado, 8,000 feet of joy on finals day at the 2019 Burton US Open of snowboarding. We have been blessed by the snow gods with a fresh dusting. The energy in the town is up as a result on this very exciting finals day. Sal Masekela here with X Games gold medalist Tina Dixon, T-Bird Tom Monterosso, former editor of Snowboarder magazine. 6 men, 6 women, and 10 men are in the quest for history to become a US Open champion. It is a big day. The weather is a factor. Let's take a look at what we are dealing with. Of course, the first 2 days of competition, we had pretty much nice sunny skies, no new snow to deal with. Our temperatures, 35 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 Celsius. As I said, some pack powder, new snow. About 4 to 5 inches I'm hearing up top. You guys have talked to the riders. What's their opinion on this new snow and how it's going to affect the course?
A lot of them are saying that this is one of, if not the fastest slopestyle courses they have ever ridden in their lives. Spoke with Ryan Farrell. You're going to see him in the men's finals this afternoon. Saw him in the coffee shop this morning, and he said he doesn't think snow is going to be an issue. He did say the big thing to keep an eye on is the wind. All right.
Of course, this entire week has been about progression. The US Open of snowboarding is that place where snowboarding as a whole moves forward. This course this week has done just that.
It has, and you have the 3 rel islands up at the top, and then you go into the jump section. And what they've done this year is that second feature is actually a transition feature. And in the past, they had a jump option. That's no longer there. The riders have to hit that transition feature, and it's something new that they really had to adjust and figure out. But it's the US Open, and with the crowd and just the vibe of this event, it really brings out the best of the best in the riders.
Indeed, and this event really showcases, as I mentioned earlier, that progression. And the women in 2019 are pushing each other as a field to move this forward, the sport forward in a way that we've really never seen before.
The progression in women's snowboarding has been absolutely amazing.
Everyone really has to ride their best and progress every year to be still one of the top riders.
Some of the girls who have been really inspiring me is, of course, Anna Gasser. She's one of the most progressive women's, I'd say. Anna did the cab triple underflip. That was pretty freaking wild.
I've been doing the doubles for 2 years, and in my head I was always, I think I could go triple. I was pretty nervous, but then as soon as I took off and I was in the air, I kind of felt it and I knew I had it. And of course, thankfully it worked out. Zoi is really amazing. I really love watching her riding. The switchback 9 is a lot of technique, and in such young age to do it on those big jumps, it's really impressive.
You kind of have to just be on your best game on contest day, so you have good style, good flow, and then be able to land your big tricks.
I got really lucky this year. I haven't done a cab double in almost 2 years, and I don't know, it's just like one of those days where you feel it and you're feeling good on your snowboard, where you just want to put it all down on the line.
It's tough keeping up, but it's also exciting learning new tricks, so I'm just excited to hopefully help progress the sport a bit more.
Every year I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, what are the girls going to bring in this year? And it's really cool because I think it makes me a better rider that all the young girls are pushing it so hard.
And just like that, we are out of the gates, witnessing progression with Annika Morgan from Germany, her first final ever at the US Open of snowboarding for the 17-year-old.
Yeah, she is on the biggest stage in the world right now. US Open Slopestyle Finals. 17 years old, the goofy footer from Germany. There's that transition feature that Tina was talking about.
And that's a new added trick for her. In semifinals, she was just going straight on that, coming up a tiny bit short on that backside 360. The first run of 3, they get 2 more chances. But Annika, I think just to be here in the finals with some of these women, I mean, that is a tall order. We were talking to Anna Gasser earlier. She said this is her first US Open ever, and she made the finals, and her strength is definitely the rail section up top.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a confidence builder in a young and budding snowboard career, coming to your first US Open and making the top 6 out of a field of 16. I mean, that was a very, very harsh cut coming out of semifinals, and you see exactly why here as Annika Morgan stomps a frontside 360. And then check that out from the top view. There is no straight over jump option. You have to hit that like a transitional feature to a regular jump landing.
You have to figure it out. It's something new. She added that 360 spin on that. Let's see if she can land it the next time around. But for Annika Morgan to start out first at the US Open in the finals, that's a very tall order.
The riders will be getting 3 runs today. And there you see our start list. Half the field. This is their first final ever. Annika Morgan, Haley Langland, we have Miyabi Onitsuka, Enni Wukayarvi, who is due for a win, Julia Marino, and our #1 qualifier, Zoi Sadowski-Synnott, also her first final ever at the US Open, as I think this is I'm picking a favorite. This is my favorite.
I like that choice.
Haley Langland from San Clemente, California. Style for miles and a determination to progress that just is infectious.
Well, in terms of her all-around riding, her rail riding is so mature. Look at that 50-50 to back lip, and then 50-50 to backside 360. She has so many tricks on a course that offers so many options.
And so heading into the jump section here, she'll start out with a frontside 360, and you watch her landings, and you watch the way she grabs. I mean, when you say style, her picture is right next to that word. Look at that backside 540 coming into this final jump switch for a cab 720.
Okay, that was a very smart and strategic move. When she was coming into that final jump switch, I was kind of thinking to myself, are we going to see the cab double? Because she's got it. She used to be a threat in big air because of that trick, but now she's incorporated that into a slopestyle run, which I think makes her one of the favorites. But she went for cab 7, stomped it, and I think this is going to be a really big score.
Look at that, 9 points out of 10 on that gap to back lip side, on that transfer at the top.
And a 50-50 backside 360 doesn't sound or look hard all the time, but that is a super technical trick to try to spin a 360 off of a really wide round bar.
All the scores on the top rails were big. And then she moved into the jump section of frontside 360. But watch this trick. This has got to be the highlight for me. This backside 540. Ooh, so stylish, and 8.6. And like you said, Tom, she goes for just the cab 720, but she could do that cab double cork 1080 off of.
Look at that flow score, and leaving room for what Haley has in the bag, not just in Superpipe, but also in slopestyle, and usually it's one or the other.
Yeah, and for years to come. I mean, they're young and they are so, so talented. Japan is becoming a global superpower in the snowboard world. Half cab on, back 3 off, and board slide to switch right there.
And Miyabi's competed before at the US Open. Look at that cab 900. That was absolutely perfect. She's hit these transition features before at other US Opens, and you could tell by the experience that frontside 360 was so nice. And then rounds up with a backside 720. I mean, top to bottom, just stomping everything.
I think my favorite part of that run was that cab 9. She spun it so slow, landed right in the sweet spot of her landing, and that set her up perfectly, dead smack in the middle of that landing for that transition feature that came next.
Well, the body language does not lie. Nothing but joy. Nice start on that gap to board slide.
Yeah, and that was a transfer from rail to rail, which a lot of these riders have been opting for. Half cab on, 50-50, back 3 out, and there is the cab 900.
She scores an 8.6 on that. This is the bottom jump where she did a backside 720, getting a 6.9. Now there is room for improvement for her. She just has to clean up, I think, a little bit of those landings and some of those landings on the rails.
As well as what we talked about yesterday with Toya Hawkinson, who was with us in the halfpipe semifinals, execution. Being able to get those grabs, maintain them, do these difficult tricks with style. We get excited about talking about spins and rotations, and the judges in that next room, they want to see, okay, if you're going to do the most difficult trick, can you execute it perfectly? You heard from the fourth member of our team to start our show with great energy on finals day. Let's check in at the top of the course with Louis Vito.
What's going on, you guys? I'm here in the riders tent, and we're 3 riders in, and we've already had 2 huge scores. It's a little flat light, so I thought maybe some of these ladies would be holding back, but I was completely wrong on that. After watching those last 2 runs, I can say this is already a start to a great finals.
Yeah, Louis. As we are getting set now for Enni Ruukajärvi, what's the tone up there? What are you hearing from the riders about the course?
You know, I think everyone's just kind of trying to get that first run down and kind of have something to build off of. It is a little flat light. The blue dye, the blue marks that everybody sees, that's to help the riders spot the landings and know where they are in the air. And I think it's just going to get better and better in building off this first run. But there's a lot of energy in this tent. People are stoked on the runs they've seen so far.
You see that resume of Ruukajärvi, a 2-time Olympic competitor, as well as the fact that she's been on the podium here before. She got a 3rd in 2013. Tina, before we came on air, you said there's just some things you'd like to see from her that could get her to that top spot.
She's one of the most consistent riders. She knows how to do these tricks, but she's finished on the podium in that 2nd and 3rd position. I want to see her get to that top, and I'm sure she does as well. She's got the tricks. She has a 1080. This run, to me, seems somewhat conservative for her. Again, it's the first round. You know, Louis mentioned that a lot of times the women just want to get that first run under their belt. That last trick wasn't conservative, though. But the rails, to me, seemed a little bit on the easier side for what she can do.
Well, and I think that is why Enni has been so dominant for so long. She's incredibly talented, but she's also very strategic in how she approaches a 3-run final. So there you see the 50-50 to 50-50 transfer and 50-50 backside 3. Look at how far she travels down the landing off that rail. We were talking about this in semifinals. One of my favorite things about how Enni rides a snowboard is its full speed all the time. Very few speed checks straight down the hill.
And during the semifinals, when we had last year's runner-up Anna Gasser with us, she brought out a great point about preparation and how each rider really needs to stick to their own plan. You know, some people are going to come out of the gate hard. Cool, that's what you do, but you can't be affected by what other riders do.
Yep.
And stick to your plan that helps get you that flow, especially in a 3-run format.
Yeah, run your own race.
And a nice position for Ruukajärvi in 3rd with 2 to go. There you see the scene up at the top. You got team managers, you got fellow competitors, you got some family members. Different people like to have different size entourages, energy-wise, up at the top. Some riders are like, everybody stay at the bottom. I just need to be in my space. As we see Julia Marino. It's a big one for you when you're competing in your sponsor's event. For Marino, it's an even a little bit more pressure when you're a Burton rider.
Oh, absolutely. But for as young as she is so mentally strong. The pressure doesn't seem to get to her. I've seen her ride on some of the biggest events, in the world, and it does not affect her. Cab double underflip right there. And then the crippler off that quarter pipe to regular jump landing. Coming into that 3rd and final jump. Backside 720. So 4 insane runs in a row here to kick off the best of 3 run women's slopestyle final.
I love it.
Insane.
Already. So many landed runs already. I absolutely love it. And this run for Julia had it all. Starting off the top with that 50-50 to lip slide, a 7.5 right out of the gate. This was just the very beginning of her run. The slip slide to 270 at 8.0. Watch her landing on this. Oh, cool. I'm just going to set myself up for this feature right here.
Well, and here you can see what Sal was talking about. It's execution. landing bolts coming off every rail and every jump. And then check this out, 8.4 out of 10. Cab double underflip right there. And then the backside 720. So again, I feel like very similar to Haley and Miyabi, I think Julia can go into her second run after this score now and improve upon 2, 3, maybe 4 of those features and build from there.
5 riders in 5 full pulls. Julia Marino, our new leader. This is what you like to see. Lead changes back and forth, and we're not even through the first runs yet. For our #1 qualifier, Zoi Sadowski-Synnott, she has been on a tear, making a statement that she is going to be a real player for the future of women's snowboarding. And for her, there's been something that came from her performance at the Olympics that's given her a real push.
Getting bronze at the Olympics was like a dream come true. It really opened up a lot of possibilities for me, like invites to X Games and US Open and stuff. And just standing on the podium with Jamie and Anna was like next level.
Imagine you're 17 years of age. Someone like Jamie Anderson has been your hero since you were a little kid. And suddenly all the work that you've been doing as a youngster suddenly has you on that stage, on the global stage.
And she's from New Zealand, and she grew up, you know, snowboarding at the parks there, seeing some of these pros come. So imagine being a young kid, riding the lift and seeing these pros show up on your mountain.
To train in your hometown.
And then you're at the Olympics on the podium with them.
Her first final, and she has made a statement that in the semis, just blowing everybody's minds.
Yeah, her rail tricks were super technical right there. And there is that switch backside 900 that she is so well known for.
That was one of the most stylish switch backside 9s as well. And then on the transition feature, doing a frontside 720 and rounded things out with a backside 540, holds on. Woo.
Insane.
Mental toughness.
And how smart was that choice after how hard she threw down on, especially through the middle of the course, to be like, all right, I'm just going to do a big backside 5 here on this last hit.
She's going to warm up. I think she's warming up for a backside 9, which she can do. That's going to be the goal for her, but an 8.7 on this first feature switchboard slide, a 270 out.
And then this is ridiculous. Switch 50, switch back 1 out. Grabbing stalefish there. And then a 50-50 backside 180. But then this trick right here, check out the live rank. 9 even out of 10.
She kind of goes off axis with that one too on that final rotation. And this is so impressive because I talked to her before the event and she did not know what she was going to do on this transition feature.
Oh, just a front 7.
She's like, I'm not used to those. I don't hit those. What do I do?
Well, and I really think that dropping last and qualifying first and dropping last in this final, she factored that in. She watched what the scores were. She watched to see which girls kept it a little conservative, which went all out, and she adjusted her run from there.
Will we see yet another lead change in just our first run?
That is a big trick score right there. 46.5 out of 60.
Massive. And this is where those 40 points count in the flow score. 36 out of 40 points for that flow score. And our #1 qualifier is in first place, making the case that she would like to be a champion. This is what we all woke up hoping for.
I got goosebumps
on finals
already.
day. And these women not disappointing. And we're just getting started.
And I loved, you know, the women came down, they landed their runs, they rode away from their jumps, and you could just see in the body language at the bottom the smiles, looking up at the judges, seeing them be rewarded for the run that they did, that they put together. I mean, there's no better feeling of doing that top to bottom and riding away from that final jump.
And to do so, you know, can't emphasize enough what it means to do so as a snowboarder at the US Open. This is the longest running event for snowboarders, by snowboarders, and you know, from 1982, this has always been the event that defines where the sport is going. So if you do it here, that's it. You're in the canons of history for life.
Absolutely. And what's interesting, too, about this 3-run final, I like that the U.S. Open does this, is the fact that after 2 runs, they take the current standings, drop them in reverse order. So if you're in first place going into the 3rd run, you have the competitive advantage, which we just saw Zoi cash in on.
Well stated, sir. Well, if you're watching, wherever you're watching around the world, you have made the right choice. As you can see this morning here in Vail, things are getting nuts. So let us know how you're feeling about these first runs. You can hit us up at Red Bull Snow, at Burton Snowboards. The hashtag is Burton US Open. If you're watching on Facebook, you can do so on the Red Bull channel and the Burton channel, and you can just hit us up. Questions, statements, who your favorite riders are. If you'd like to know more about the intricacy of the judging, etc., we got answers for you. Plus, Louis Vito's up the top. He's an Olympian and an X Games medalist, and he has a plethora of knowledge. He wants to answer your questions as well. So get at us.
I always like being a viewer too and watching broadcasts and, you know, kind of chiming in like, here's where I'm watching from, here's what time it is. And, you know, I want to know like what the days have been like for you guys on the mountains. Have you had a couple powder days? Because we've had a really good season. I've had some great powder panic trips, pulling the trigger last minute and going out to the mountains. So yeah, tell us about your snowboarding days that you've had, you know, and now we're in the competition setting as well.
What Tina just did there was said, I've been pulling the trigger all season and scoring powder more than anyone sitting on this panel. And that is absolute fact. The most hardcore snowboard turkey of the 3, Tina Dixon, as we are back up to the start with Annika Morgan. I was just about to ask, what does she need to do? And she just answered it.
Well, she is officially stepping up her entire rail run. Those first 2 rail features, that was ridiculous. So now Annika Morgan coming into the first jump. Front side 3. Little wobbly there, but excellent air awareness.
And a much better backside 360 on that transition feature. Gets that tail grab. One more jump for her. She goes for the backside 720 and lands it. You could see, and Sal, I think she even surprised herself on that.
Yeah, she saw her. She just grabbed her helmet like, whoa, I just did that. I liked how off axis she got on that backside 7, but the top half of the course, those first 2 parts of the rail section, she was like, okay, I see it's going to be this kind of a gay day. Let's go.
Yeah, that was an insane rail section from Annika Morgan. Switch board slide 270 on that flat bar there. And then switch board slide back to regular, setting her up for the jumps. There's that front side 360. Little squirrely there coming off the lip. I think she lost her balance just a little bit, taking off for that jump. And then there's the backside 720. So Annika Morgan got the memo from the rest of the field that it's a shootout up there.
I love that she went for it. That's stuff that we haven't seen from her before, especially off of that transition feature. She was just doing straight airs in semifinals. So really, everyone is pushing each other.
Well, you saw in that backside 360, she would have loved to have gotten a nice solid grab. That 4.1 would be the lower score, but a great performance for Annika Morgan. Nice flow score as well, as she is in the 5th spot. And we welcome in Anna Gasser.
Hello.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. This final is really amazing.
Can you believe?
Everyone has been landing runs, and the level is really good. Really excited to watch this right now.
When the whole field starts off like this, what does that do for the energy, especially in a 3-run format?
It for sure motivates you, and I think like with everyone landing their first run, we can expect some big tricks for the 2nd and 3rd run, so it's really exciting to watch this run right now.
Nice. We are fired up as coming in the pride of San Clemente, young Haley Langland.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see what Haley throws down, because she did keep it conservative. She was in first place, has since been bumped down to 3rd place, but there were a couple jumps she could definitely improve upon. So starting things off in the jump section with a frontside 720.
So she's already stepped it up in the jumps, adding to that rotation and doing that big backside 5 again, but sitting down on that.
Yeah, basically, I was wondering if we were going to see the cab double.
Cab double.
She was setting up for that right there on the final jump. But we're going to have to wait till run 3 to see what Haley Langland is going to do. She's currently in 3rd, though, and I think she kicked this whole contest off. I think that first run set the tone, and like Anna was saying, it just kind of builds the energy and makes everybody ride at a higher level. So 50-50 to 50-50 transfer right there. And then on this second rail island, 50-50 backside 360 from Haley Langland. There's the backside 5, and right there, I think she just was lacking a little bit of air time, maybe another foot of air, and she would have been able to put down that landing gear.
I think she's going the biggest on that feature out of all the girls.
She's popping super hard on that back 5.
And with a crazy double grab, like showing full control, landing that deep, Haley will be relying on her last run. Louis, I know the people are talking to you. Where are they watching from and what are they saying?
You know, it's funny, we have a wide variety. We have the UK, Canada, Turkey, Spain, England, and George said this ought to be interesting. No Jamie, no Layla. Let's do it.
Nice, thank you very much, sir. And as we see on course, Miyabi Onitsuka, we'd like to remind the audience that we do have a full Japanese translation of today's event via Red Bull TV. So for our Japanese fans, you can watch it 100%.
Ooh, Miyabi going for the cab 900, putting it down. Now heading into that equalizer feature, front side 360.
Are we gonna see the back 10, you think?
That's the question. Backside 7, and it looked like she just didn't quite have enough speed there as she caught the knuckle just a little bit there on that final jump.
My knee hurts in the booth just from seeing it. What is it like when you hit the knuckle like that?
It's not a good feeling.
Here's a question. Is it better to know you're going to hit the knuckle or better to not know?
It's better to know because you kind of can prepare of what you're going to do in the air.
Yeah.
Like I always try to land on my heel edge, not on my toes, because it's less impact for the knee and the ankle. So, but I feel like as soon as you leave the jump, you know.
Yeah.
You know if you're gonna make it or not.
Oh, I'm familiar with the feeling. Oh, I am.
We all are.
and the bruised heel.
And that's why I'm not out there.
Yeah, that's why I'm not out there either.
I was surprised on that because it looked to me like she didn't even speed check or anything heading into that final jump, and even Anna and I were like, is she going to do the 1080? Yeah.
She came up a little bit short, not as much in the first run as well. How much does this new snow affect speed on a day like today?
I think the new snow is not too bad. I more think it's like maybe some wind that came in. Yeah.
That's what the riders were saying earlier. Not so much the new snow, but yeah, that wind is what can get you. You know, and I was actually talking to Red yesterday, and he said this course is so firm. It's right next to the ski hill, and ski racers like ice. And so, you know, the snow itself is actually pretty firm. Nice. And so, yeah, so they build a course, and it's rock hard. So actually that new snow might have softened things up a little bit to a good point.
Well, you see the flags up at the top. They're definitely blowing, moving a lot harder than they were the last 2 days. I think at the start of the show we said 12 to 13 miles an hour. We didn't see wind above 7 or 8 miles an hour the first 2 days. And that 5 miles an hour plays a factor.
And it matters what direction. An uphill wind is the worst. Downhill wind isn't that good because you can overshoot. So it definitely matters what direction that wind is coming from.
And the unpredictability that can go along with that.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that Enni is in last place right now, because I thought her first run was really good with 2 7s and a 5.
Yeah, let's see if she steps it up here. 50-50 backside 360. It's hard to think where she can improve because her first run was really, really good. So really front side 7 into the backside 5 and just kind of missed the grab there a little bit, and it might have just shook her mentally in the air.
Anna, how is it to be in the air? I mean, we talk about just the importance of grabs for the judging, you know, portion of it, and also just for the fun, stylish aspect of it. But how does it help keep you balanced when you're in the air?
I think it's like for me, it's easier to grab than not grab because I keep composed and the wind can get you. And yeah, like for me, it's easier. But sometimes something goes wrong, so you have to open up or you have to adjust to how far you go. And that's when it gets difficult.
You saw on that backside 540, and he was coming in really, really hot into that transition section.
Yeah, you saw her kind of carve leading up to that. You know, but she is one of the most experienced, if not the most experienced competitor here. She's got one more run. I mean, she's been in these positions before.
And she's really consistent too.
Extremely consistent.
And she has been for so long. I mean, her last podium at the US Open was in 2012. It's now 2019. She's still in the final, and she's without a doubt one of the top contenders for that top 3 spot.
What kind of conversations are athletes having with their coaches right now?
I think just giving them some confidence. That's the most important thing before I drop in, because it's kind of too late to change it up.
Well, here's Julia Marino, who rode in that first run with all sorts of confidence in second place. And
I wonder what happened there.
I think she messed up the first rail.
Just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah. And knew it was kind of over, because the level is so high that when you mess up the first rail, you know you're not gonna get the top score.
Right.
I think it's smart too to do that, just kind of save yourself and save the energy and everything for that final run.
Yeah, and Julia is going to be dropping second to last.
Save yourself with a backside 7.
Yeah, just with a backside 7 on an 85-foot jump.
Yeah, nice to be able to. It's nice to have that be the last thing in your mind, though, heading into your last run.
Very true.
You're exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, and then she just pulled the ripcord there and said, you know what? I'm waiting for the big show, the third and final run.
Well, that backside 7 maybe will factor into the Burton bonus hit. Remember that we've had a side pot going on for best tricks on those last hit, whether or not you had a full pull in your run or not. As we head back up to the top of the course, and while we do so, what's up, Louis?
I just got a question for Anna. You know, you got one of the best female snowboarders ever in the booth with you. And if you're Zoi, what's your mindset? What's your plan going into these last 2 runs?
I think she's gonna step it up because she knows all the other girls still have big tricks. And yeah, I think she's gonna try to do a 9 on the last jump.
I hope she does. Yeah, her first run score was an 82.55. She starts things off with a switch board slide 270, then a switch 50-50. Switch back 1 out. Ooh. Wow.
Good
Crisis
save.
averted right there. Amazing save on that 50-50 back 1. And then there's the switch back 9, not quite able to get the full rotation around.
An example, as you said before, on how just one bobble in one part of the course can take you out of your flow. And you heard as soon as she got onto that rail that she got on wrong.
Yeah. It's a game of inches out there.
That's what makes slopestyle so hard, that you have to have a top to bottom perfect.
Yeah, and not just jumps, but rails. I mean, it's a complete combination. And the technique is different from the rails and then into the jumps and then the transition feature. Anna, I wanted, since you're here, we saw the footage of you doing that triple.
First, show us what you think happened here, Anna.
I think she just clipped a little bit on that third rail and got a little squirrely.
So there's that switch 50, switch back 1. This is where it went a little sideways.
Her nose, her nose went against the rail first, and that's not a good thing.
That was a nice save.
Except you want to do a nose press.
That could have gone awfully wrong.
It really could have.
Yeah.
Oh.
Zoi, where's your phone?
Yeah, we see so many of these competitors at this level hitting their rail tricks, and very rarely do you see them not hitting those rail tricks, and you forget that they are not forgiving.
Well, it speaks to just the overall toughness of these athletes at this level in 2019. The fact that Zoi Sadowski-Synnott is smiling and still in good energy after that very hard slam. She is in first place. We have one more run for all 6 riders. This is going to be a banger of an ending to this final. Stay with us here at the 2019 Burton US Open of Snowboarding.
Zoi Sadowski-Synnott, 17, Wanaka, New Zealand. It's pretty daunting being having come off such good results and a lot of pressure coming into this comp, but I'm excited and the course is amazing. It's running super smooth, we have good weather. I'm super excited to ride.
Hi everyone, my name is Miyabi Onitsuka. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Japan. I'm stoked to final because this girls is so high quality. I'm happy to ride with the girls. I wanna try cab 9, front 3, back double 10, but hopefully good weather.
Without the 10. Oh.
Welcome back to the 2019 Burton US Open of snowboarding here on a beautiful Friday in Vail, Colorado. Fans coming out early to witness the best on the planet. Sal Masekela here with Tina Dixon, Anna Gasser. We're not happy that you're injured, but we're happy that we're able to have you in the booth giving us your amazing expertise. And of course, T-Bird.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you make our jobs easier here and out there. No matter where you are, you make our jobs way easier.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, here we are, last run. We've seen 4 lead changes already in this very heated competition. What do we expect? Who are your picks to take this? I'm putting you guys on the spot.
I think we're going to see more lead changes. I really do. And I'm going to throw a wild card out there. I think if she can put the run that she wants down, I think Miyabi Onitsuka could do it today.
Okay.
Because you're right, and because she could do that 1080 at the bottom. We haven't seen that, but Haley Langland also, if she can get that 540 around, land it, she could possibly go for that cab double cork 1080.
And if she stomps that in a clean run, that's hard to compete against.
You know, what's interesting is those first runs were so good and so on point. We saw everyone land. The second runs, we saw falls.
Yeah.
So now everyone's probably like, I want to land. So it's on.
Anna, do you want to go out on the plank?
I don't know. I also would say Miyabi, Haley. Oh, I don't know. Everyone could take it pretty much.
It's tough.
Because everyone has a score down, so everyone can risk it. And yeah.
When you have the energy, that big start, and then some challenges in the second run, how do you manage your own personal energy heading into this final run?
I think you, like, as soon as I land a run, the energy is even higher. So I think Enni is really hungry now to do a really good run.
So Enni Ruukajärvi on course for her third and final run. Switch board slide to regular. 50-50 backside 360. So on her second run, this is the front side 720.
Oh, no.
Came up a little bit short. And on run number 2, this is where things went a little awry for Enni. But she puts down the back 5 and then...
Oh, that was really unlucky.
Slams in the ride out. So Enni Ruukajärvi, that is a shocker.
Yeah, and it's for sure, it looks like the course is slowing down because she was ducking into that first jump, and she's normally one of the faster girls out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just see the flag there on the side too, and it was blowing with that wind.
Ooh,
some powder.
That's the spirit.
That might be the winner for the for the bonus hit. I mean, that's still technically part of the last hit.
It is.
I'm a fan of side powder hits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's our bread and butter right there.
I know how to do those.
So here's that 50-50 backside 360.
And she stepped it up at the top. Like, she added some new things on that top section and those rails.
And then there's the backside 540. Yeah, she landed really hard on her toes, and it's almost like a counter correction when you're driving in the snow. She went toes and then caught her heels.
And it looks like her lens popped out as well.
I mean, that just goes to show you the force. I mean, everyone here can probably agree that there's nothing worse in snowboarding than that heel side check. That quiet time that you're in the air where you're like, this is about to be bad. But glad that she's okay. What a fighter all week. Great performances from the veteran, Enni Ruukajärvi. As Annika Morgan from Germany, she was the under-15 national champion. She has been consistently progressing, now 17 years of age on this stage.
And her first run score of a 72 is only 10.5 points behind the current leader. So the gap is very small right now. You don't have those big 20-point swings between first and fifth. So Annika Morgan is most certainly a threat right now.
And she really stepped it up from qualifiers.
She did. Added new jump skills.
Board slide pretzel into the switch board slide 270. And then the switch board slide to Goofy.
And she's too slow pulling out.
Oh, not quite enough speed. So maybe, Anna, you're right. Maybe that course is slowing down a little bit. Maybe the wind picked up.
But better safe than sorry. She
Absolutely.
felt it. She felt it riding in, and I think it was smart for her not to go for it and come up short.
I have to say, though, for her first US Open to make the final and do the performance that she did here, really impressive.
I mean, top 5 at a US Open is that's a prime spot on a resume for any professional snowboarder.
And she did a 720 on the last jump. I think that's the biggest jump she's ever done a 720 on, and that's a personal, like,
personal best.
Yeah, personal best. It's really cool.
So there's that switch board slide 270, 8.8 out of 10. I mean, she was putting it together.
That thing was nice.
Well, a great performance this week from Annika Morgan, and that veteran sense to say, if you don't feel it, don't go. And it reminds you just what's at stake. While we get entertained watching these tricks being performed in the air, there is critical skill set that is needed to complete them. Speed is your friend in slopestyle.
It is.
When you see other competitors slow down like that, and you have wax techs up top, at what point do you decide, hey, can you put something on my board? Do you do that?
I do that. Yeah, I do that. I would be, like, Ryan is one of the best wax guys up there. He's helping out almost everyone that's in finals. And I think I would be at his place right now asking him to, like, help me out.
Put something special on
there.
Yeah,
put, like,
See what you can give me. Well, when we came back into this third run, most all of you said that Miyabi Onitsuka has the ability to win this thing. What does she need to do?
She needs to get speed.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for her.
She's little. She's really skinny. I hope she can get the speed and show her best.
So 50-50 front board to fakie. Half cab on, backside, nice. 360 out on that flat bar. And then board slide pretzel, so great rail section from Miyabi Onitsuka.
It looks like she has it.
All right, there she goes. She landed in that perfect sweet spot on that cab 900. Again, great landing on that front side 3.
Wow.
That was insane. She landed so far down that landing, and she knows it.
You could hear it. You heard the slap throughout Vail Valley.
I think she heard Anna say she needs speed, because that was speed. That was fast. So there's that 50-50 front side board slide to fakie, and she stepped her rail game up.
Yeah.
An 8.2.
That was an insane rail section from Miyabi Onitsuka. Here's that board slide pretzel. Ooh. And if I could criticize one thing about her jump section, that last jump was the grab. She did miss the grab a little bit. I think I think she knew she was going a little bit too big.
Yeah.
Well, so watch how the run in here. She goes straight. She points it. She knew she came up short last time. And she's so close to the bottom of that jump.
Kudos to that landing. That is firm out there.
That could have gone such a different direction.
It's going to be close.
I think it's going to be an improvement, though.
Onitsuka is on the podium right now. And just to be able to survive that last jump.
Unreal.
That could have gone so wrong.
That alone is deserving of a top 3, but now it puts the pressure on Haley Langland.
Yeah.
This is what we want. This is the drama we look for at the Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships. Young Haley Langland.
You're all set, girl. Have a good time.
17 years of age, has all of the ability. Can she put it together?
Yeah, and Tina and I were talking. She's recently signed with Red Bull and been working with James Jackson, kind of the slopestyle whisperer out there. He's a Red Bull coach who kind of gets you in the right mindset. So Haley Langland on course 50-50, backside 360 into that board slide right there. This is what it's going to come down to, is the jumps.
Really nice.
Front side 720. Here's that backside 540. That takeoff looked perfect, but too much impact on the landing.
It looked like a really good run coming together.
It did. Just that last part of the landing, because the style on that and the air was, I mean, she came around on that last 180, spotted her landing, and I thought she had it.
And you could tell just by the takeoff. She took off in the right spot, she popped perfectly, and she started spotting her landing as soon as she was in the air. I think it was just a little too much impact. I think she went a little bit too big.
She went even bigger than on her last run.
And you were saying that, Anna, that the impact on that transition feature, I mean, it's been beating people up.
Yeah.
Well, when I ran into Haley on Wednesday.
Look at how high she goes.
That thing was beautiful.
And I think she didn't do anything wrong. It was just the impact.
Yeah, I think she just took those 2 knees and it just bounced her a little bit too much and kind of just threw her off her line a little bit going into the final jump.
It's not a matter of if Haley Langland will win this event, it's when.
Exactly.
And we will all remember the path that she was able to take to get there. A shot of our #1 qualifier who's presently in first place. Zoi Sadowski trying to get that energy right. And there's the 8 men and women tasked with being the judges. And all incredible snowboarders themselves, former winners of this event.
We got Chad Otterstrom in there. That dude. Let me tell you about that guy.
Julia Marino can win this as well. She is in second in that position right now.
Yeah, and currently Julia is the only gal left that can decide whether or not Zoi Sadowski-Synnott will take a victory lap or have to send it. There's that cab double underflip.
That was a better landing than she did on her first run.
Yeah, she went bigger too.
And then the crippler. So it all comes down to this 3rd and final jump. What's it gonna be? Backside 9, and she sat it down, but it was spun so perfectly. I thought she had that. Wow. That might have been a first place run right there if she had put that back 9 down. That was her best run of the day.
That was her best run.
Absolutely.
Well, you can just imagine the 2 feelings. Julia Marino's at the bottom, knowing that she was that close. Has to be hyped on her overall performance.
There's that 50-50 to frontside lip slide. Board slide 270 right there.
Look at the scores on these rails up at the top.
Yeah, I mean an 8 out of 10, just 6.8 out of 10. And I think this one, I think that live rank is going to be huge.
This double cork 900 is much better than she did on her first attempt. So she was already looking really good, went into this crippler. That was big.
And this is a victory lap. We are joining the victory lap of Zoi Sadowski-Synnott, who is laying out the style. Your 2019 Burton US Open snowboarding champ for slopestyle, and what a feeling it must be in her first final ever.
I mean, how about that story? It seems like since she podiumed at the Olympics, she has just been on a tear in the snowboard world.
What a special year for her as well. I mean, she came out at X Games. She got in there as an alternate, won. Then she went to the World Championships, won. She comes into this event and people are like, you've got the momentum. Can you back it up? Well, guess what? She did.
Yeah, and Zoi, she just has, on a foundational level, she has every single building block to build a very successful professional snowboarding career.
As we see our final standings, I get filled with warmth when I see all of the competitors at the end congratulating one another, being there for Zoi, and no doubt just being like, hey, we did this and we're all standing and we're all safe. We'll check in with Zoe's mood right now as she's with Louis.
I have the champ, Zoi Sadowski-Synnott from New Zealand. All right, Zoi, you get into X Games, win X Games. You go to World Champs, win World Champs. And then you come to the most legendary snowboard contest and win your first time. Can you describe your emotions?
I can't even explain how I'm feeling right now. I'm just happy to be here and have such good crew of support out here. Happy to put down a run, and yeah.
What does winning the US Open mean to you?
So much. It was one of the first contests I watched, like when I first started competing, and I just wanted to go. I've wanted to go since I started snowboarding, and like, dude, I'm just so stoked right now.
Congratulations, you can now add US Open champion to the resume. Go enjoy and congratulations.
Talk about accomplishment at just 17.
You know, she said she watched the US Open, and I asked her, well, where were you? Were you actually at the event? She goes, no, I was watching the live stream. I was home in New Zealand watching the live stream with dreams of one day competing there. And not only competing, but she won.
What are your thoughts, Anna?
Yeah, I'm really happy for her. She deserves it. She's been riding so good the whole season, and I think this confidence just showed in her riding here, and she for sure is a deserving US Open champ.
And I feel like this course really suited her riding. I mean, she mastered that transition feature, and that we've been saying since day one, since semifinals in the men and women, that is the key to this year's slopestyle top spot, and Zoi took it.
And she stayed even. Like, the pressure didn't get to her. The nerves weren't there. She's just like, I'm going to do my run. I've practiced this. And we didn't even actually see from her the backside 9 that we thought she was potentially going to do off the bottom.
Totally.
But that switch backside 9 and everything else she did.
That was enough.
Yep.
From the semifinal, we were all struck by just the level, the ability, the progression. What do you think, Anna, this event does to move the sport forward for women's slopestyle?
Well, this is the last event of the year, so it kind of sets the tone a little bit how next year's gonna be. And like with all the girls riding so strong, I think the younger girls gonna watch this event and they're gonna progress over the spring, and it's gonna be even a higher level next year.
Yeah, I think other snowboard events are really good for putting names on the map and for introducing you know, next generation, the next superstars. But I feel like the US Open has always had this reputation of cementing legacy. It introduces riders, but it also gives other riders the opportunity to kind of end the season on a high note, and then that almost builds to the legacy of that rider and this event at the same time.
And overall, today's competition, the riding was so good, just right out of the gate on those first runs. Everyone was hitting.
Yeah.
It was just all in all a fantastic event.
Yeah, it changes the energy. I mean, we've all been in those events where it's a little bit harder for the field to find that rhythm, and it seems to be a collective energy, the way you athletes feed off each other in a final. Do you find yourself leaving an event like this, sort of like on the long flight home, starting to make a list of like, okay, these are the things I need to put on my hit list for the spring and summer?
No, not like that, but it for sure motivates me. Like, I'm really excited. I hope I can ride in 2 or 3 weeks, and I have a lot of energy for spring now and a lot of motivations just watching these girls.
Be patient, let the ankle heal.
Yeah.
I got a note from your doctor. He said, just tell her please to be patient, let the ankle heal.
He's like, I heard what she said the other day about doing an entire run switch to keep weight off of it. Don't let her do that.
That really speaks to your mindset and how you think about snowboarding. It has been such a pleasure to have you. But next year,
very much.
next year we hope that you're not in the booth with us.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope I'll be out there riding again.
You will be.
Remember, this is only the first part of the day. The men, they have been put on notice by the women, 10 riders. Let's make some light predictions.
I think Tina had an interesting point before the show started with red. This course suits red pretty well.
Yeah, it really does. And if you look at past events that Red competed in, when they had that transition option, most guys didn't hit it. Red did.
Yeah.
He always likes to do something different than the other riders. And, I mean, he was doing 1080s off of it in semifinals. Some of the other guys were just spinning 720s. And I really do think this course suits Red.
And it's going to be an interesting dichotomy because it's established veterans, but there is a very large list of the finalists are some of those younger kids, Brock Crouch, Lion Farrell, a lot of kids that have never ridden in a final before. However, before I get too far ahead of myself,
yeah, there's that
Mark
guy.
McMorris is in the finals.
And it's interesting because he didn't mark McMorris the semis.
Right.
He's in the mid-pack. I think he finished.
Qualified 8th, I believe.
Yeah, 8th. But you can – Mark McMorris is never out until the contest is over.
Especially when there's a three-peat on the line.
Right, which has never happened before.
Right.
No one's ever won this thing 3 times in a row. And you'd think when you'd won it a bunch of times, it wouldn't matter. But he said, no, this means just as much to me as winning the first time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anna, what do you think?
I kind of have my money on Mark because this is kind of a good place for him. And I know, like, he's so good in mentally and in competition, so I think he could do really good.
When you think about Mark McMorris riding a slopestyle course, the word that comes to mind is just clutch. I mean, he is obviously the best jumper in the world right now, but he's mentally so strong, and you can just never count him out.
He comes through in those moments, like you said, in those clutch moments. Mark finds a way.
Yep.
Old soul. It's like he's done a few laps on this planet before. We talked about the last hit of the course, and all week long there has been a side competition happening. The Burton bonus hit. Sometimes you just have to slow down and use your words, Sal. You folks at home will be participating in the voting, and here's some of the standouts.
Celia Norendal, backside 360 right there. Nice and smooth, keeping it simple, keeping it stylish.
Remember when there were blue skies here? Ooh, Jamie Anderson, massive backside 180 into the parking lot.
That was insane.
You can go to Facebook to vote.
There it was. You guys called it.
Oh, sweet. You got the power slash in there.
Yes, the side powder slash.
How rad would it be if that won?
It would be amazing. It would be incredible. Here's Julia Marino, backside 720. That was clean.
Yeah, that's probably the winner.
That was real.
I don't know. That backside 180, that's real.
That's real.
Well,
yeah,
she had so much hang time. She came around on the rotation.
She almost landed in the booth.
Oh, wait. Yes.
Well,
she really had to slow herself down, but still had the style.
I mean, it wouldn't be a U.S. Open if Jamie didn't win something. You know, I mean, she could win that thing with that back one. That
All right, you got 4 minutes to vote. Go to Facebook via the Burton page or the Red Bull page and vote, vote, vote. You're going to make a difference, and we'll find out who that champ is. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The pow slash, though, I have a feeling that people are going to go with it.
It's relatable. That's relatable snowboarding right there.
Speaking of relatable snowboarding, one of the great things about Burton as a company and really snowboarding as a whole is that it is inclusive. And when you look at the adaptive world, the athletes that have suffered either injury or defects by birth that might limit their ability to ride snowboards in the way that we can, it's really, really cool to compete and ride at the highest level. And this piece that we're about to show you really puts that into context, and you will feel it in your heart.
My
passion and my love is snowboarding, so if there is an easier way for me to do it with one hand, it's such a huge advantage.
Burton has become involved with adaptive athletes ever since I started there 23 years ago. The barriers that we're trying to help overcome are just the difficulty in using equipment.
I'm sure that's a flattering picture. Specifically, we've been working on my boots. Pulling the inside booty was very difficult with one hand.
And just give it a pull, like that. What we're trying to do is identify the things that are the most difficult and making all of that easier. Is that better?
Yeah, so much better. The inclusion that Burton's trying to do is absolutely incredible. We don't really care about the fact that we're disabled. Like, we're still going to go out there and ride.
Doyle reached out to me and said that he was really interested in helping out the adaptive snowboarding world, and said he had this great new binding coming out, the step-on binding.
Mike Schultz invented and builds the BioAdapt prosthetic foot that all professional amputee snowboarders are using. Our philosophy since we started the project specifically for amputee and step-on is accessibility, adjustability, and durability.
Being able to just step into a binding and not have to mess around with the straps on every run streamlines everything and makes it a lot more consistent.
Not being an amputee myself, I can't feel or really empathize with what they're going through, so working with these riders is really helpful.
I really enjoy seeing the excitement that everybody has that's working on the project, and the best part is like this, we get to go out and test it.
Burton has been so helpful and so supportive in what I'm trying to accomplish with snowboarding.
Everything that we do is for the riders, and these folks are just like anybody else.
What a great piece. I ran into Mike Schultz the other day because he was here for a couple of days actually testing for that footage that we just saw, as well as Doyle, who's been at Burton for 23 years and was like a wide-eyed kid who liked to tinker, that knocked on the doors and never left. And to see that passion, to be able to give others the ability to take things to the highest level. And Mike Doyle especially is just a tenacious, pure competitor.
Yeah, and Mike Schultz is a ripping snowboarder. He's a Paralympic two-time medalist, gold in snowboard cross, and then also a silver medal. And he just can snowboard so fast. And I love the fact that, like, let's get that boot on fast. Let's get those bindings on quickly, because we got to race to some powder slashes.
Or even something that you take for granted, like just being able to pull your laces together.
Yeah.
When you're going out to ride.
Or ratchet down a heel strap or anything like that. But I think you said it best before that piece, Sal, is Burton does such a good job of not just spreading the stoke through the highest level of snowboarding, but from the most relatable level of snowboarding too. It's very inclusive. You know, someone like Mike Schultz, he's just happy to make some turns. And that's really what we're all in this for, on any level.
Yeah, indeed. Really special. That makes you feel good and reminds you of the things that make you proud to be a snowboarder.
Yeah.
Well, I've been informed that the voting is closed. People did go ham on Facebook. We will get the results for you as they're tallied. Meantime, how about we take a look back at the top 3 runs from this incredible final.
Yeah, and this is Miyabi Onitsuka making me look good. I said I thought she could do it today, and she ended up on the podium, starting things off 50-50 front side board slide to fakie. Into the half cab on, 50-50 back 3 off. And then the board slide pretzel out. And I feel like Miyabi's rail section, she stepped it up big time.
Oh, absolutely.
Big time.
You know, she has her strengths with the jumps. We saw that here, the cab 900. And then the front side 3, and we were so concerned about this last trick. Would she have enough speed? Yes, she did, because the size of this backside 7, and she lands it.
You see that horizontal line in the landing, and it almost seems like that's the line where they're like, don't land past this. She lands on it, stomps it, and that cab 9 was filthy. That was insane.
It was a battle back and forth. So many lead changes. Julia Marino made the case for being able to win this thing.
Yeah, 50-50 front side lip slide into the board slide 270. This was her first run, so she came out swinging here in finals on run 1, 50-50 backside 180.
And then does this cab double underflip, so nice. Sets herself up for the rest of the jump line, especially this transition with a big crippler. and then rounds it out with a backside 720.
So a very different run between second and first. One double cork and an invert in Julia's run, whereas Zoi kept it flatter but had to switch back 9. So you see kind of how those judges were tallying those scores today here in finals.
But it really seemed like it was Zoi Sadowski-Synnott's entire week. Qualifying first and just keeping things rolling.
Switch board slide 270 right there from Zoi. Into the switch 50-50, switch back 1. This was her first run. 50-50 backside 180.
Landing bolts on everything.
And here it is.
Oh, that switch backside 9 going somewhat off axis on that bottom or that last rotation, really proving why she's been so good this year. And you got to remember, Zoi, it was just a few years ago she was watching this event online. She had dreams of coming here. She did it, and she won.
Talk about coming full circle. Watching it on the live cam, on the live cast, and then standing at the top of the podium at the US Open Slopestyle.
Truly incredible. That was her first run. And there you see the results. Zoi Sadowski-Synnott adding her name to history as a Burton US Open snowboarding champion here in Slopestyle. Great performance all the way through. Look at how close that breakdown is score-wise from first to sixth. That's the sign of a great competitive event.
Yeah, you know it's good when the sixth place score from Enni Ruukajärvi was pretty much a 70. You know the level was really high, and we saw that from run 1. These girls came out swinging. They knew it was no safety runs today.
A beautiful thing. I have just been informed that we have a champion in the Burton bonus hit.
Are you happy about it?
Of course I'm happy about it. No, it's not the powder slash.
That's what I was.
But by an overwhelming 55% of the vote, it was Jamie Anderson sending it deep with this massive backside 180, managing to hold all that style and land in the parking lot.
She stalls it out there in the middle and makes it look so stylish. I love that.
Yeah, that's called air awareness right there.
So why while the six-time champ was unable to make the final, she does walk away with a win.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shocker not seeing Jamie here in the finals, but not a shocker that she won the Burton bonus hit. That back one was enormous.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for hanging out and watching. Anna Gasser, thank you so much again for blessing us with your time. For those of you at home, keep on communicating with us. Stay social. Hit us up via Red Bull and Burton. The hashtag is Burton US Open. And when you come back and watch the men this afternoon, do so again via Facebook. You can do so with Burton and Red Bull. Hit us up. You saw how many times we included your questions and letting us know where you're watching from all over the world. And if you liked what you saw today, guess what? That's just what we do. If you love winter sports, Red Bull TV is the perfect place for you. Make sure that you download the Red Bull app. You can do so for free. So much to discover. So many viewing activities and films and shows. You can even log in to watch your favorite content and watch it later offline. Why? Because we love you. Download the app. That's a wrap for us. Who wants to go and take, as you can see, I'm dressed differently today. You know why? It's because there's a nice gap between men's and women's, and there's some fresh powder out there. I'm going to go get a couple of runs in. We are excited for the men's event this afternoon, so make sure that you do what you need to do. Go handle some business. If you're at work, make up for the lost time, and make sure you check back in with us because we are going to have a banger of a men's final here at the 2019 Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships. Will Mark McMorris be able to get it done and make history with the three-peat? Find out. 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Until then, thank you for watching. And thanks to everybody for hanging out.
Go ride. Go get some runs in.
Can you tell that I need a snowboard and not talk, maybe?
I think you were inspired by Enni Ruukajärvi's paddle slash there. I think we're going to see Sal on the side of the slopestyle course.
I'm going to be like, wait a minute. There's a last entrance for bonus, Burton bonus hit.
These guys are going to be in practice and be like, someone's on the side of the course.
Who is he? Looks like a super amateur. That is a wrap for us. We'll leave you with some highlights from our exciting final from the women, and we'll see you this afternoon.